So I'm back over here, Barndominums 252. Last time I showed you guys how to stain concrete. Today we're gonna seal it, okay? So we're gonna go through that. I have showed you how to seal concrete before, but I'm gonna show you again because there's so much to it that we may have missed something the other time. So we'll go through it again, okay? I got Manny and Darren here helping me, if you can call it that.
Helping. I like that.
So like I've said before, you have to stage your prep area. As you can see, we have the sealer stacked, one, A and B, A and B, A and B. That way you grab two at a time, top and bottom. So the ratio's 2-to-1, the kit's all ready to go. So all you have to do is open it, mix it. But if you, for any reason, need to make a partial, then it's good to know that the ratio's 2-to-1. We are using Arizona Polymer P250. That's the ratio for that one, okay? If you're using something different, then make sure you follow their instructions, not mine, okay? You want to do it?
Yeah, go ahead, fella.
Manny, do it.
Actually, yeah, Manny needs to learn.
Hold on. What do you mean I need to learn?
You want me to do it, Manny?
I got it.
You want me to do it?
I got it.
I can do it. You want me to do it?
No, I'm good.
No, let him do it.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, try it.
Oh my God. Here.
This is not a Texas Barndominiums screwdriver.
Yeah.
Just for the record, I know you guys are wondering. Darren couldn't open it, and Manny couldn't open it. Don't you own a record? Don't you have like a
Yeah, on my
powerlifting
legs.
record?
Shit.
Well, you should have used your legs.
It off, I would have done it.
Should have used your legs.
Should have used my leg, right?
Everything's been cleaned up, been neutralized, everything's ready to go. However, at this point, you still have a chance to fix, patch, or do just about anything you want to the stain, okay? You can still go in with acetone stain. We use Malay tan, so we're gonna use a caramel color. We're gonna go in and touch up some of the spots that we may not like, okay? This is the time to do it. After the first coat of sealer, you still can do it one more time if there's something you don't like. And then once you do the final coat, you're done. So keep perfecting it as you go along, okay? This is a concrete dye. So what you do is you take some of this dye and you mix it with acetone. You add acetone in a sprayer, and then you can go in there and touch up some of the spots that you may not like. For example, when you stain concrete, some places it just will not take. You can go back in, add some more color, feather it out, whatever. If you have any cracks in the concrete, the stain goes down in the crack and it just sucks the moisture out of the concrete all around the crack, which makes it lighter than everything else, which makes that crack stand out like crazy, okay? So before you apply your sealer, go in and dye those cracks. That's going to make sure that you don't see them as much. Anyway, that's what we're gonna do right now. So this is a trial and error thing. So add acetone to the sprayer bottle, and then just add some color until you get it to match. All right, so as you guys can see, the stain is pretty even, but you'll see like right here where this crack is, you can see it. It really just stands out like crazy. Like I said, that's because the stain goes down in the crack. The crack sucks the moisture from all around it, and then technically what happens is the concrete doesn't stain right there. So we're gonna stain it, or we're gonna dye it. So anyway, you go through the entire slab and find spots that look like that, like these right here. Okay? You find those spots and you add just a little bit of dye. There you go. Take it one room at a time. See, like right here. All right, that's all it takes. Don't add too much right now. We'll come back. And you can kind of go out like this and just, like even these two right here, just kind of join them together. Okay, and you'll see how it's gonna add color to those light spots. You want to make sure that you have enough to do the entire crack. You don't want to have to mix again halfway through the crack, because then it's going to be really, really hard to get it to match. So we're going to mix more acetone with dye, and then we're going to come back and do it. All right, so we mixed more acetone with dye, and we're going to start here on the crack. And then literally this is all you do, okay, for now. And then you kind of want to feather it out a little bit, okay. Then just do the whole thing. So this is a closet, so it's not going to be very noticeable anyway. See, this looks like a light spot, but it's really not. It has color in it, it just doesn't have as much. So I don't want to do too much on those, because those are the ones that are going to give you the contrast in color, which is going to make it look really, really good. However, here's a light spot right here. That one doesn't look natural. We'll add a little bit of dye. Okay. Let's go back and look at the crack again. You can see it's less noticeable now. We'll do a little bit more dye. And like I said, after the first coat of sealer, we can look at it once more, and then we can add just a bit more dye on top of the first coat of sealer before we do the final coat. So you don't want to do too much right now, because then it's just not going to look natural. But as you can see, the crack is gone. Well, the crack is there. It's just, now you have some color. Look at the other one over there, Darren. So just kind of walk around, and any spot you don't like, you can add some dye. Like here, see the light spot? You can add some dye there, some dye here. You can feather them, kind of join them together. All right, let's do the crack over here. Add some dye here. I'm gonna just kind of go straight into the crack. See, this one's gonna be close to the wall, which makes it kind of easy, because you can kind of feather all the way into the wall. And you know, away from the wall, here's another light spot. Get that. All right. So you don't want to go too dark, and you don't want to go in line with the crack. I mean, I do it at first to get some color, but then you kind of want to feather it out. Because the reason it looks different is because it is. It has less color. So if you come back and then you do too much color, then you have the same problem. It's just different than everything else. I mean, that's all it takes. You don't want to do too much. But as you can see, I mean, you can still see the crack, but it's a lot less noticeable. And like I said, after we do the first coat of sealer, we can do it again. Anything else? You see any other spots? Manny, anything? So Manny's just going back and just going through the whole thing and see if he can find anything. Lint, bird poop, I mean, anything. Obviously there's no bird poop in here because it's closed in, but you want to go back and find anything that could potentially get stuck in the sealer. Wood chips, I mean, anything. All right, so we're gonna go through the whole house, make sure everything's perfectly clean, there's nothing behind that can get trapped in the sealer, and we're gonna put down the first coat. All right, so now that he's mixing, me and Manny are gonna jump in there and we're gonna get ready, because we gotta start rolling like immediately, okay? Right now it's about 50 degrees, so the pot life is probably fairly long. I'm gonna say 30 to 35 minutes, maybe 40 minutes. However, you don't want to get in the habit of not getting after it. So we're gonna get after it. And Darren's gonna stay out here. He's gonna keep mixing for us. Manny and I are gonna go roll. This is Arizona Polymer P250. You will notice how it's gonna bring out the color in the stain. It's actually gonna make it a little bit darker. So whenever you're applying the stain, make sure you don't go too dark, because the sealer itself is gonna make it just a bit darker. But it's really gonna bring out the color.
woman got engaged. Time passed, wedding day. Then my feet turned cold at the tone of those wedding bells. I felt bad, everybody got dressed up, but I knew.
Alright, so Manny's cutting in the edges right now around the tub. That's about the only place where we're gonna need a brush. Around the tub and around the doors. Everything else we can get to with a roller.
Sunday morning, knew the place, so I stumbled into church and sat down for a spell. A few minutes in, I felt free of sin, so I polished up my bottle of bathtub gin and got stinking, dirty, awful, drunk as hell. Yeah, right there in the back pew, I got drunk as hell. I'm talking about hellfire. Oh, hellfire. Yeah, hellfire. That's where I'm at. I'm talking about hellfire. Yeah, hellfire. Oh, hellfire. That's where I'm at.
Drop it in. All right. When we come back, that sealer's going to be hard. Then you can just grab the handle, pull it out. I mean, the bucket's ruined anyway, but it's a lot easier to pull it out like that. We're done with the first coat. Manny's going to go close the door now, and he's going to put a sign over there. That's your cue, Manny, to go close the door. So Manny's going to close the door now, and we're going to put a note on there to make sure nobody walks in, because we're going to go to lunch. Maybe brunch. It's 9:30 a.m. We got started pretty early. Anyway, we're gonna go to town. Again, you want to make sure that nobody walks in there right now because they'll totally ruin it. It should be ready to recoat in about 3 to 4 hours. And anyway, we'll come back. We'll show you what happens then. All right, so it's been 3 hours and the 250 is still not ready for us to put a coat of 501 on top. So here are the options. Today is Friday. So we can't be here tomorrow or Sunday, okay? There is a 24-hour window between the 250 and the 501, okay? If you miss that window, you need to scuff up the 250. In the summer, that window gets a little bit shorter because of the heat. In the winter, it gets a bit longer, okay? So today it's a bit cold out here. It's about 50 degrees. It has extended that drying time enough that it's probably gonna be about 4 or 5 p.m. before it's ready to recoat. And at which point it's almost dark, and I do not want to be in here on a Friday night trying to put down 501 and risking not getting it done right. We have two options. We can scuff up the 250 next week, clean it up, and then put 501 on top because we missed that 24-hour window. Or 250 always goes on top of 250. I mean, it can be a year later. As long as it's nice and clean, you can put 250 on top of 250. It'll stick really well, and at that point, then you have the 24-hour window again, at which point you can put down the 501. So we can come back over here next week and do that. The problem is we are getting foam done next week, okay? We don't want to push them back. So what we're going to do next week is Darren's going to come over here. They're going to get the floors covered up with ram board, okay, protected. We're going to get the house foamed. Then we're going to get the house drywalled. And before the cabinets get here, we're going to remove the ram board. And again, at that point, we still have the same options. We can either clean up the 250, put a coat of 250 and then a 501, or we can scuff up the 250 and then just put the 501, and then we'll have a completed floor system. Again, at this point, we're just gonna cover it up next week, and then we'll make the decision later. I think the easiest decision is to simply clean it up and put a coat of 250 on top and then the 501. However, if it's very cold, then we would simply scuff it up and put the 501 on top, so we don't have to worry about the 250 drying real slow on us like it's doing today. So again, you have those two options. However, I just want to make sure that you understand the system that you're using. Like I said, 250 is an excellent product that it can be a year later and you can always put 250 on top of 250. So that is very helpful, obviously, because situations like this, just wait, you know, you can always. Now, if we could push the foam back, we could come in here next week and it'll be perfectly clean. We could simply put 250 on top of this 250 and then 501 and be done. Let it sit up for about 3-4 days and then cover it and then continue with the house. However, we do not want to push the foam guys back because that's just going to set us back. So like I said, we're just going to cover it up, foam it, drywall it, paint it before cabinets and trim. We'll come back and we'll finish sealing the floors. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. Again, this is what happens in the field. You have to make decisions, kind of have to roll with the punches, and that's what we're doing today. I hope you guys learned something today. We'll see you next time. We are Texas Barndominiums.